I watched a video recently from Dan John, and he was talking about what he does for recovery, and there were two things that came up that I thought I want to talk about them, and it's something that I hear all the time, and it blows my mind, and I just thought that it crystallized into a much better concept as I was watching this video, probably because it's been sitting there for so long and it started to find words. The first one is that when I have said this before as well, so it's not as if I'm not guilty of it, but when people say that the most important thing for recovery is sleep, they're not wrong, but then they leave it at that. Sometimes you get so far as to have people say you have to improve the quality of your sleep. Well, what the hell does that mean? It's like when someone says, well, I'm just going to eat clean. Define clean. Do you even know what that means? How are you defining that? How are you defining and measuring improving quality of sleep? Because if the only thing that you're doing is saying, well, I'm going to improve the quality of my sleep, are you sleeping more? Are you sleeping better? Are you sleeping just differently? And more important, are you tracking the quality of that sleep? Are you doing things that are going to be able to help you quantify if the practices that you're doing are improving the quality? And then, is that quality of sleep having a carryover and improving the other areas for which you were trying to receive the benefit of improving the quality of your sleep? That's not to say that if you improve the quality of your sleep and it doesn't have a benefit on those things, that you shouldn't be improving the quality. But guess what? Maybe that wasn't the thing that you really needed to move the needle in order to receive the benefit. So in this situation, specifically, we'll talk about athletics and recovering for, say, practice or training. If you go in and you still feel like shit when you go to train and you've increased the quality of your sleep because you've been able to measure it using something that legitimately quantifies the quality and improvement of your sleep, then that wasn't the thing that you needed in order to help you feel better. There's a good chance that maybe you're just training and moving like shit. Congratulations, you improved the quality of your sleep, and that's not going to have a carryover to just moving badly. Now, that's just one example. You would hope that somebody who is training or being an athlete is going to have someone who's watching the quality of their movement and is going to be able to help them out with that part. But that's not the only thing that could continue to hinder someone's ability to recover. That an improvement in sleep quality is not going to improve. And so it's short-sighted for us to say that the most important thing that you can do is sleep quality and leave it at that. You're absolutely right. That is 100% the most impactful thing that you could possibly do in order to have an effect on your overall recovery. The number two, and coming in at a very close second, is food and nutrition, and making sure that you're getting enough at the right times of the right food. And I'm incredibly sensitive to this area because it has had a massive impact on my overall chronic fatigue and how good I have felt in general, not just with athletics and with training. And this is why I used the example earlier of saying, oh, I'm just going to eat clean. What the fuck does that even mean? Like, what foods are you eating? How much are you eating? When are you eating them? What kind of combination are you doing for them? Because it's going to have a massive impact. So in the same regard to the sleep, it's not enough for us to say, hey, here's this enormous concept. Just go do that. What the fuck does that mean? Help people more. You can't just say, oh, you need to sleep better and leave it at that. Because the second part that came out of it, and it's related, is this idea that you could have people who go and get tools and soft tissue devices, so foam roller, lacrosse ball, all these different tools that come out where it's items that they're able to use for their own soft tissue work, vibration tools, hypervolts, etc. And they're using them and they're saying, well, I'm doing soft tissue work and I'm helping myself out. That would be the same as someone randomly coming up to a strength coach and saying, well, I bought a barbell, I'm using it every day. What the fuck does that mean? How are you using it? You can use a barbell to hit literally every single part of the body. What are you doing with it? Are you pressing? Are you pulling? Are you squatting? Are you deadlifting? Are you doing carries? Like, what are you doing? Are you doing all of that every single day? Are you doing it in the right combination? Are you doing it to the right volume? Are you doing it at the right time? What are you doing? You can't just say, I bought this thing and I'm doing it, and congratulations, I'm doing training, or I'm doing strength training, or I'm doing whatever it is that you want to say, just because you simply have the tool and you're quote-unquote using it. That doesn't mean that you're using it correctly. That doesn't mean that you're using it in the right fashion. It doesn't mean that you're doing anything that's going to elicit a positive response, because once again, you're not able to quantify haphazard manners like that, or haphazard choices. You got to put some kind of structure behind it, which leads me into a third point, or maybe it's a subcategory for the second point, that you have to help people put a program behind the soft tissue work just as much. I don't know why people don't fucking do this. Just as much as you put a program together for the strength training. It's not a hard concept to understand that soft tissue work within the confines of the recovery topic, because soft tissue work is not the only thing when it comes to recovery, but it seems to be the only thing that people talk about other than food and sleep. So you have to put a program behind that. There's a level of adaptability for the body, and if you're doing the same thing, just like if you were doing the exact same thing for, months and months for your rehab, it doesn't, at some point, it doesn't fucking work anymore, because you've out-progressed that rehab process. But people don't talk about that with the soft tissue. You don't become dependent on it. You evolve, you get better, and therefore you have an ability to use a different level of intensity or volume when it comes to the recovery, or just different practices. And if you get to that point, you should take advantage of it, go through a program that provides progressions that allow you to get further benefits from it. But no, they're just like, oh, I have this tool and I'm using it every single day. One, how are you using it? And two, how does that fit into the program you're doing? Three, do you have a program for your use of that particular tool that allows you to have progressions that elicit an even greater response over the course of time? And I guess, I said a little bit, but does that fit into your current programming? Stop saying that you're doing recovery when you have no way of actually defining and quantifying what your recovery is.